From Korra to Aang to the OG Wan, the Avatar had to build up his skills from the ground up several times over. But what challenges do they run into? What lessons do they learn? And what traits do they carry from life cycle to life cycle? Catch up on how each Avatar mastered the elements and more in these skill evolution breakdowns.
And don't judge, okay? It's hard to carry the weight of 2 worlds on your shoulders. Or so I hear.
How did one man go from sleeping in the streets to saving the entire world? Let's take a closer look at Wan's bending evolution and break down how he became the very first Avatar.
Nobody steals from the Chu brothers!
Really? Because I just did.
10,000 years ago, Wan was living in the slums of a lion turtle city. He relied on his speed and agility to survive, and it didn't hurt that he was clever. He couldn't defend himself by bending because he actually wasn't a bender at all. Wan is the only Avatar who actually grew up as a non-bender. But how did he start bending? Back then, the elements were a temporary ability that were given to humans by the lion turtles. Fire was used by humans to fight off spirits when venturing into the wilds. Using it against other humans was forbidden, but Wan was never one to follow the rules.
What did you do? You can't steal from the lion turtle. Really? Because I just did.
After Wan stole fire from the lion turtle, he rallied his friends together to raid the Chu Palace.
Follow me! No, please! Have mercy! Wan?
Never again may you return to this city. But I will allow you to keep the power of the element.
Bet he doesn't last till morning.
All Wan had was fire and his will to survive. He didn't have any masters or any fellow benders. He was alone with an element he didn't fully understand. To make matters worse, he was in the middle of nowhere surrounded by dangerous spirits.
I'm just a little frog.
Who's little now?
Wan grew up fearing the spirits. But after rescuing the cat deer, they became his allies.
Get out of the way!
No!
He met spirits of all shapes and sizes. Among them lived the dragons. Since dragons also possess the ability of fire, maybe they can teach Wan a thing or two. Wan studied the movements of the dragons. By incorporating those movements with his bending, he made fire an extension of his body. It was something that no one had ever seen before. Wan became a full-fledged firebender, and his first element was Master. After 2 years of living with the spirits, it was time for Wan to see the rest of the world. He knew if he found other lion turtles, he could find other elements. But it wouldn't be long before he got himself into trouble once again. Meet Rava and Vaatu, the spirits of light and darkness. After Wan mistakenly released Vaatu, the dark spirit was ready to unleash chaos on the whole world. The only way to defeat Vaatu was for Wan and Rava to team up.
I can't let the world fall into chaos because of my mistake. Neither of us can defeat Vaatu alone, but together we have a chance.
But it would take a little more than fire. It was time for Wan to learn a new element. He saw more humans on another lion turtle who possessed some kind of wind power.
No human has ever held two elements at the same time.
I'm not like other humans.
The only way for me to give you the other element is to pass through your body and combine our energies.
I'm ready. Give me the air. It feels completely different.
Over the course of the next year, Wan and Rava traveled around the world to find more lion turtles. Along the way, he was given the power of 2 more elements, water and earth. The order in which Wan learned the elements is how the Avatar cycle began. Fire, air, water, earth.
I feel like I'm changing. The more we practice, the stronger I become.
As time went on, Wan grew even stronger, as did Vaatu. Vaatu began to turn spirits and humans against each other. Wan had friends on both sides, and they were on the brink of war.
Get out of the forest, humans!
Wait! We can resolve this peacefully. Rava! We need to combine our energies. Maybe then we'll have enough power to stop this. Enough! You need to stop fighting now, before you destroy each other!
He's controlling all 4 elements.
Wan, I have to leave your body or I'll destroy you.
No! It's working! If you leave, the fighting will start again.
Wan! As long as Vaatu was free, his darkness would only get stronger, and the end of the world was drawing near.
Are you ready for our final battle, Rava?
Before you get to her, you'll have to go through me.
No human can stand against me.
Haven't you heard the legends? I'm not a regular human anymore.
It was time to combine all 4 elements with the power of Rava.
Rava! The only way to win is together!
In the final battle to save the world, the Avatar was born.
We are bonded forever.
This is your prison now. And I will close the portal so no human will ever be able to physically enter the spirit world and release you.
Imprisoning Vaatu was only the beginning. As the Avatar, Wan made it his mission to guide the world towards peace. Even when Wan's time came, Rava would continue what he started.
Even with Vaatu locked away, darkness still surrounds humanity. There wasn't enough time.
Don't worry. We will be together for all of your lifetimes. And we will never give up.
From a mighty avatar to Aang's mentor and guide to the spirit world. Let's deep dive into Roku's journey and explore how his bending evolved to make him one of the wisest and most powerful avatars of all time. Let's go back to where it started in the Fire Nation capital. As a boy, Roku grew up as the best friend to the Crown Prince and future Fire Lord Sozin. And they did everything together, from being awkward around girls to training with each other in the deadly art of firebending. While naturally skilled benders in their own right, Sozin and Roku would spar during the daylight hours to absorb energy from the sun and generate even more powerful flames they could use to attack. Along with the occasional tree root.
Looks like I win again, Roku.
Are you kidding? The tree root did all the work.
Roku and Sozin didn't just share a passion for setting hearts and objects on fire, but they also shared the same birthday, and they celebrated together every year until they turned 16. That's the day the Fire Sages showed up with a surprise for both of them.
Did something happen to my father?
No, Prince Sozin. We are not here for you. We are here to announce the identity of the next Avatar. It is our honor to serve you, Avatar Roku.
Roku was now destined to travel the Earth and master the elements. But when Sozin went to say goodbye, he discovered that Roku was reluctant to leave after the Fire Sages told him there would be no need to pack a bag. As the new Avatar, Roku would have to give up all of his worldly possessions.
Here, I hope you're at least allowed to have this.
But this is a royal artifact. It's supposed to be worn by the Crown Prince.
I want you to have it.
That very same artifact was later passed down by Iroh to his nephew Prince Zuko after Zuko discovered that he was in fact Roku's great-grandson. Over 100 years in the past, Roku began his Avatar journey to learn the other three elements by studying airbending at the Southern Air Temple with an old friend of Aang's, a young monk Gyatso.
Hey, Gyatso, you want to see a new glider trick?
Check this out.
Roku took to airbending quickly with the help of Gyatso as they spent their early days having fun and inventing wild new techniques with their gliders. Sometimes, they even showed off their new moves to the fellow air nomads. After learning everything he could about airbending, Roku traveled to the Northern Water Tribe to study waterbending. As a natural firebender, it was difficult for Roku, but after immersing himself in Water Tribe culture, he mastered the element and was able to defeat his teacher in combat with a tidal wave that launched him clear across the city. Roku eventually moved on to his final element with the art of earthbending, and he excelled, arguably matching his natural firebending skills in both precision and power. Near the end of his studies, Roku became so proficient at the earth wave technique, he could scale an entire mountain in seconds.
Huh?
After over 12 years of rigorous training, Roku had finally mastered the 4 elements. But his journey to become a fully realized Avatar had only just begun.
Customarily, my subjects bow before greeting me. But you're the exception.
Roku returned home greeted with open arms by Sozin, who was now the reigning Fire Lord, but still had time to be the best man at his wedding. It truly seemed as if their friendship could survive through anything. Or so they thought.
Our nation is enjoying an unprecedented time of peace and wealth. Our people are happy, and we're so fortunate in so many ways.
Where are you going with this?
I've been thinking. We should share this prosperity with the rest of the world. In our hands is the most successful empire in history. It's time we expanded it.
No, the 4 nations are meant to be just that. 4.
Roku, you haven't even stopped to consider the possibilities.
There are no possibilities. This is the last I want to hear about this.
While it took 17 years, eventually Roku discovered that Sozin had undermined him as he began to seize power by setting up Fire Nation colonies in the Earth Kingdom.
I've seen the colonies, Sozin. How dare you occupy Earth Kingdom territory?
Furious at Sozon's betrayal, Roku called upon the strength of all of his past lives and entered the Avatar state, greatly enhancing all of his abilities. By this point, Roku's airbending had advanced so much he could suspend himself as high as the royal palace.
I'm letting you go in the name of our past friendship. But I warn you, even a single step out of line will result in your permanent end.
Roku and Sozon wouldn't see each other again until late one evening, 25 years later. The island where Roku made his home had become engulfed in a volcanic eruption with smoke and ash so thick it was nearly impossible to breathe or see anything in front of you.
Let's go!
While his wife and the villagers fled to safety, Roku stayed back to slow the volcano. At first with an island-sized air sphere. But even Roku's monsoon-like gusts of winds were like a gentle breeze against the eruption. Surrounded on all sides by poisonous gas and intense heat, Roku used everything in his avatar power to hold back the volcano, including earthquakes to funnel the lava runoff.
Bang! Get out of here! I'm fine!
Roku's Dragon Fang feared the worst, but even weakened by the poisonous gas, he was still able to call upon the Avatar state to help him punch a hole through the mountain and bend a river of lava out through the other side. In spite of Roku's efforts, he was losing strength and hope seemed lost. That is until the last person he expected showed up.
Need a hand, old friend?
Sozon?
There's not a moment to waste.
Sozon and Roku were fighting on the same side together for the first time in 40 years. Two master firebenders going toe-to-toe with a volcano. Roku's quick earthbending even saved Sozon's life just before certain death. The old friends had almost made it to safety until Roku got hit with a full blast of poisonous volcanic gas. Sozon did nothing while Roku begged for his life, his true intentions finally revealed. With the Avatar gone, all his plans to expand the Fire Nation were finally possible. With the death of Roku, the Avatar cycle was renewed with the birth of Aang, and Roku passed on to the Spirit Realm to guide Aang through his journey as the next Avatar. While Aang was lost for over 100 years, Roku would eventually be able to meet him for a short time during the winter solstice, when the line blurs between the spirit and physical world.
It's good to see you, Aang. Took you so long?
Roku told Aang about the return of Sozon's comet and that he needed to stop the Fire Lord before summer's end, when he could use its power to win the war once and for all. Roku also let Aang know that there was a way for him to help the young Avatar in times of great danger. Only if he was ready.
I'm ready.
Ready? Fire!
Avatar Roku.
Enhanced by the winter solstice, Roku allowed his spirit to take control of Aang's body to defeat the Fire Nation soldiers and bend the lava deep below the earth to completely destroy the Fire Temple. Roku came to help Aang from the spirit world once more when Master Firebender and Fire Nation deserter Zhang refused to teach Aang anything about firebending.
You think I am weak?
Avatar Roku. No, I did not mean that.
I have mastered the elements 1,000 times in 1,000 lifetimes. Now, I must do it once again. You will teach the Avatar firebending.
Yes. I will teach you.
Really?
Through the rest of Aang's Avatar journey, Roku remained his mentor, teaching him how to tap into the spirit world. Aang learned that he could call upon his past lives for guidance and even protection through the Avatar state. This defense mechanism would save Aang's life more than once, but it turned the tide in his eventual battle with the Fire Lord. Ozai had the upper hand, but Aang made quick work of the Fire Lord after entering the Avatar state and using a new skill even Roku had never mastered: energy bending. Aang spared Ozai's life, but was able to defeat him by taking away his firebending forever. After the end of the 100-Year War, Zuko was crowned the new Fire Lord, and a brand new age of the Fire Nation had begun. And while the future seemed much brighter ahead, tension still loomed as Zuko's own fear of ruling like his father Ozai resulted in a promise forced upon Aang to end his life if he ever came close. Unfortunately, a year later, Zuko appeared to be making dangerous plans. Aang sought guidance in the spirit realm, but Roku simply told him that a promise is a promise.
If I had been more decisive and acted sooner, I could have stopped Sozin and stopped the war before it started.
Even if for the greater good, Aang refused to take Roku's guidance and burned his fire amulet, permanently severing his spirit connection with Roku. And while Aang eventually proved right and Zuko found his way as Fire Lord, burning the amulet damaged his connection to all the past avatars, and Aang needed to make an entirely new medallion to regain contact with his past lives. When Aang found Roku in the spirit world again, he apologized and hugged his master. Understanding, Roku told Aang that his job as the new avatar was to find balance between the past, present, and ultimately his own perspective. Aang would remember this lesson when he himself became a spirit guide to Avatar Korra. And just like all the avatars who came before him, including Roku, they all needed to learn to find their own path.
How did a 12-year-old boy become the most powerful man on the planet?
Sometimes I forget what a powerful bender that kid is.
As we study the evolution of Aang's power, we'll be exploring his growth in all 4 elements. Each will have skills that demonstrate functional and combative proficiency. We'll also check out his connection to the Avatar state, the spirit world, and energy bending. Born into the air nomads, Aang began to master airbending before he even knew he was the Avatar. At age 6, he was a better airbender than kids twice his age. By 10, he was better than his own teachers. And by 12, he invented the air scooter.
First, you form the ball. Then you gotta get on quick.
Despite his youthfulness, he had already earned the ceremonial tattoos of a master airbender, the youngest in history. But the fun and games would soon end.
We have known you were the Avatar for some time.
Normally, we would have told you of your identity when you turned 16. But there are troubling signs.
I fear that war may be upon us, young Avatar.
We need you, Aang.
This moment changed Aang's life. Everything he cared for was about to be ripped away. So he attempted to flee from his destiny. When a storm threatened his and Appa's life, Aang used his yet unrealized Avatar powers to seal them both inside a ball of frozen energy for the next 100 years.
Next thing I knew, I was waking up in your arms after you found me in the iceberg. What's going on here?
You tell us. How'd you get in the ice? And why aren't you frozen?
I'm not sure.
They began a journey north in search of a waterbending teacher, and on that journey, we saw just how powerful airbending could be. On a functional level, Aang could fly with the help of his glider, leap great distances, and so much more. Although the first time Aang would airbend in combat would be against Prince Zuko of the Fire Nation royal family.
Looking for me?
You're the airbender? You're the Avatar?
Aang grew up among the peaceful air nomads. Violence doesn't come naturally to pacifists, but Aang did have one trick up his robe. What? Did Aang just spontaneously master waterbending?
How did you do that? With the water! It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I don't know. I just sort of did it.
Spoiler alert, Aang had tapped into a spiritual mindset called the Avatar state. For the second time, actually.
The Avatar's state is a defense mechanism, designed to empower you with the skills and knowledge of all the past avatars. The glow is the combination of all your past lives, focusing their energy through your body.
It'd be a little while before Aang learned this fact, but one thing was clear. This was his most powerful skill, even if it was more of a reflex. Now back to bending. Aang had several action-packed encounters that continued to build his combative airbending.
Typical airbender tactic. Avoid and evade.
Aang was taught that fighting should only be a counter-reaction, which is why his defense was naturally great. But Aang was now learning offense too. Before long, he could float like a flutterbat and sting like a scorpion bee. He began to demonstrate air blades, projectile tunnels, and even fan blasts. It was as if his airbending couldn't get any better. So what about his waterbending? Well, not so fast. While on the journey north, Aang discovered one other ability, his connection to the spirit world.
You must be the Heibai spirit. My name is...
Being the Avatar means you're infused with Rava, the spirit of light and peace. You have the capacity to act as a bridge between the mortal world and the spirit world. A skill Aang flexed prematurely.
The sun is rising. Perhaps he will return soon.
What? No, I'm right here.
After accidentally projecting himself into the spirit world, we eventually learned there were other ways to communicate with spirits. Methods like meditation or through ceremonial shrines, which is how Aang first spoke to his previous incarnation.
It's good to see you, Aang. What took you so long?
Talking with the late Avatar Roku revealed quite a bit.
Mastering the elements takes years of discipline and practice. But if the world is to survive, you must do it by summer's end.
I haven't even started waterbending and we're still weeks away from the North Pole. What am I gonna do?
Calm down, it's gonna be okay. If you want, I can try and teach you some of the stuff I know.
You do that?
Time for Waterbending 101.
Just push and pull the water like this. The key is getting the wrist movement right.
Like this?
Aang was quick at learning the basics, much to Katara's chagrin.
Wow, I can't believe you got that so quickly. It took me 2 months to learn that move.
Well, you had to figure it out all on your own. I'm lucky enough to have a great teacher.
There may be other reasons why this came so naturally to Aang. As an air nomad, he's used to meditating, focusing on the energy around him. While waterbenders, they rely on their own flow of energy. You might compare it to like using the same variables in different math equations.
Looks like I got the hang of that move. What else you got?
That's enough practicing for today.
Aang quickly exhausted Katara's toolbox of waterbending basics, though their joint education was not drying up just yet.
Look at this, Aang. It's a waterbending scroll. Check out these crazy moves.
The team discovered some rare instructions, which included the water whip. And when the pirates they stole that scroll from hunted down Team Avatar, Aang and Katara explored collaborative bending.
We need a team of rhinos to budge this ship.
A team of rhinos, or 2 waterbenders.
Collaboration would help them move ships, create whirlpools, pull water from deep underground, and even manipulate clouds. This is the first time Aang demonstrated the abstract art of cloud bending, a combination of air and water bending, perfect for warning a superstitious village against pending doom.
Oh my!
Oh, and when that pending doom erupted, Aang's current skill set was put on display. Interestingly enough, Aang's predecessor, Avatar Roku, he actually perished in a similar conquest. I guess lessons can transcend lifetimes. Eventually, Team Avatar made it to the North Pole, where Aang studied under Master Pakku. Now, Aang may have been a talented student, but his discipline was that of a 12-year-old boy.
Pupil Aang,
Yes, Master Pakku?
care to step into the sparring circle?
I figure since you found time to play with house pets, you must have already mastered waterbending.
I wouldn't say mastered, but check this out.
Aang's enrollment in Paku University came to an end when the Fire Nation attacked. Time for Aang's first major test, stopping the Siege of the North. His combative airbending broke up the Fire Nation's most destructive tools, and he used his limited knowledge of the spirit world to seek additional help. This was the first time Aang entered the spirit world through meditation. And when all hope seemed lost, Aang tapped into the Avatar state to actually merge with the spirit of the ocean. Together, they eliminated the Fire Nation threat. For now. But what would this mean for his education?
I've decided to go to the South Pole.
What about Aang? He still needs to learn waterbending.
Well, then he better get used to calling you Master Katara.
Still, Aang had more to learn, and it would continue under Katara's guidance. Now, if finding a waterbending master was a journey, finding an earthbending teacher would be more of a hunt. Their first choice only wanted to manipulate Aang. This guy wanted to force our young Avatar into the powerful, destructive Avatar state, even if it meant using Katara as bait.
It worked! It worked!
On the flip side, this is when Roku elaborated on just what the Avatar state actually was, the good and the bad.
It's time you learned. In the Avatar state, you are at your most powerful. But you are also at your most vulnerable.
What do you mean?
If you are killed in the Avatar state, the reincarnation cycle will be broken, and the Avatar will cease to exist.
Quite the caveat, don't you think? Aang pocketed this information and chose not to study earthbending under such a careless master.
We just have to find out a way to control you when you're like that.
You're out of your mind.
The hunt for an earthbending master continued, while Aang and Katara practiced their waterbending skills. Witness the octopus form. And that's not the only muscle he'd exercise.
Everything is connected.
He'd further embrace his spiritual connections in this mysterious swamp, whose hallucinations actually led to his future earthbending teacher.
Your champion, the Blind Bandit!
AKA Toph Beifong.
She's the greatest earthbender I've ever seen.
She may have been blind, but learning from the original earthbenders, badger moles, taught her unparalleled talent. Now, teaching that to Aang was easier said than done.
Maybe there's another way. What if I came at the boulder from a different angle?
No, that's the problem. You've got to stop thinking like an airbender. There's no different angle, no clever solution, no trickety trick that's gonna move that rock. You've got to face it head on. And when I say head on, I mean like this.
Whoa! As an air nomad, the methodology behind earthbending wasn't connecting with Aang. He was used to going with the flow, not brute force. The root of earthbending was essentially the opposite of airbending. Toph practically turned over every stone trying to teach Aang, until he was forced to use brute force to protect Sokka.
Do it now! Earthbend, Twinkle Toes. You just stood your ground against a crazy beast. Do it! You did it! You're an earthbender.
I can't believe it.
And there it is. Aang unlocked the earthbending mindset.
Appa! Appa! I can earthbend now. The key is being completely rooted, physically and mentally unmovable. Whoa!
This was finally a tool whose offensive benefits came naturally. Like when he needed to defend himself against the Fire Nation princess Azula. Or when Team Avatar had to break into the Earth Kingdom Palace. Check out Aang's devastating pillar wave. Aang's comfort with earthbending developed rapidly, fueled by escalating conflict in a corrupt Earth Kingdom.
You're the Avatar?
No, him.
Over here.
As Team Avatar began to witness the complexity of war, Aang decided to break away from bending and refocus on his most powerful skill.
You said you could teach me to gain control of the Avatar state. How?
You must gain balance within yourself before you can bring balance to the world.
Mastering the Avatar state would require opening all his chakras, which are sort of pools of energy in your body.
Each pool of energy has a purpose and can be blocked by a specific kind of emotional muck. Be warned. Opening the chakras is an intense experience, and once you begin this process, you cannot stop until all 7 are open.
Aang accepted the risk and moved forward. In the process, the Avatar surrendered his fears, released his guilt. But when it came to letting go of earthly ties, especially when Katara was suddenly in mortal danger,
I have to go!
No, Aang. By choosing attachment, you have locked the chakra. If you leave now, you won't be able to go into the Avatar state at all.
Aang left to rescue Katara, and he found her. But it led to a battle against Azula and Zuko. He was using some powerful bending techniques. Aang even took a chapter from Toph's playbook and made gemstone armor. But when it seemed like the only option left was the unmastered Avatar state, it did not go well. The beginning of the end. Summer was heating up. Aang mastered airbending, was a great waterbender, proficient earthbender. But now, he could no longer access the Avatar state, not with his chakra locked. On top of that, they had no idea where to find a firebending master. Actually, Aang had found a firebending master long before he was ready to learn.
Before learning firebending, you must learn water and earth. Water is cool and soothing, earth is steady and stable. But fire is alive. It breathes, it grows. Without the bender, a rock will not throw itself. But fire will spread and destroy everything in its path if one does not have the will to control it.
The master was right. When Aang persisted, he learned firsthand that playing with fire is not child's play.
Katara! I'm so sorry!
After burning Katara, Aang swore off firebending. But with the war coming to an apex, he now knew there was no other option. Still, his search for a teacher wasn't looking good, until a teacher found him.
Hello, Zuko here.
Zuko's own complicated struggle left him a changed man. And as the great-grandson of Avatar Roku, who better to teach Aang firebending?
What was that? That was the worst firebending I've ever seen.
I thought it was nice.
On second thought, maybe Zuko wouldn't be the best teacher. He had essentially lost his ability to firebend. Firebending had been largely taught as an act of destruction, fueled by your most aggressive emotions.
I don't want to rely on hate and anger anymore. There has to be another way.
You're gonna need to learn to draw your firebending from a different source. I recommend the original source.
Eventually, they found that source. Dragons! Ran and Shaw were the original masters of firebending. And they deemed Aang and Zuko worthy enough to impart the burning art's true nature.
All this time, I thought firebending was destruction. But now I know what it really is. It's energy and life.
Finally, he had mastered firebending. He had achieved control over every element, and he did it in a way that would make the monks proud. All that was left was to save the world. The end of summer was here. Fire Lord Ozai was preparing to eliminate the entire Earth Kingdom. It appeared Aang's only choice was to kill Ozai to maintain balance, though he knew death couldn't be the only answer. To find another option, Aang was able to ask his past selves, even while the Avatar state was still locked.
You must be decisive.
Only justice will bring peace.
You must actively shape your own destiny and the destiny of the world.
No one gave him the answer he wanted to hear. All signs still pointed towards a violent end, until one, even older advisor.
Darkness thrives in the void. but always yields to purifying light.
What did this mean? Too late to figure it out. Ozai was in action, which meant it was time for Aang's final test.
Please listen to me. We don't have to fight. You have the power to end it here and stop what you're doing.
I do have the power. I have all the power in the world!
Aang put on an impressive performance, but when redirecting lightning, a potential death blow to Ozai, he couldn't do it. Ozai took advantage and eventually backed our hero into a corner. Then finally, when all hope was lost, destiny knocked. Like earthly acupuncture, Aang's chakra was unlocked, and the Avatar state was ready to take no prisoners. The moment of truth. Would he slay the Fire Lord? Would his past lives compel him to do the unthinkable? No. Deep down in his heart, Aang knew that life wasn't the enemy. Ozai's life was not the enemy. Power was the enemy. So Aang took Ozai's power away. That's right, Aang used the unknown power of energy bending to remove Ozai's power, eliminating the tyrant's firebending altogether. At 12 years old, Avatar Aang mastered all 4 elements. He saved the world, and he refused to let his own power corrupt his internal harmony. Beyond that, he mastered control over the Avatar state, discovered energy bending, and maintained a deep connection with the spirit world. After the 100-Year War, he'd continued to fight for peace, helped create Republic City, started a family with Katara, and after passing on, Aang would guide the next Avatar, as Roku had once done for him.
When we hit our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change.
I'm the Avatar! You gotta deal with it!
Here is a closer look at Avatar Korra's bending evolution. As we study the growth of Korra, we'll be exploring how she learned to bend all of the elements, her connection to the spirit world, and defeating her own inner demons.
Who do you think you are? Why don't you come and find out?
At just 4 years old, she was already showing immense strength in fire, earth, and water bending. She spent 13 years in training in the South Pole under the Order of the White Lotus. She even learned healing techniques from Master Katara.
No! That's the stuff.
Korra fully embraced her avatarhood. She wanted to be the most powerful one ever. There was just one small problem.
Airbend.
She could not figure out airbending just yet.
What is wrong with me? Airbend!
Luckily for Korra, she had the son of the Last Airbender himself.
Look at you, so big and strong. You've grown into quite the young Avatar.
Master Tenzin, I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to get started.
Air is the element of freedom. The air nomads would use their bending to travel the world. Korra spent her whole life in the Southern Water Tribe before joining Tenzin in Republic City. So it is possible her air block may have originated from her sheltered life in the South Pole.
Often the element that's the most difficult for the Avatar to master is the one most opposite to the Avatar's personality. For Aang, it was earthbending.
Rock beats airbender.
Airbending requires discipline, peace of mind, and patience. And Korra was, well, stubborn, aggressive, and extremely impatient.
Yeah, you're telling me to embrace freedom, but you won't even let me listen to the radio? There's nothing wrong with me! Yeah, it's not sinking in yet. Maybe the reason I haven't learned airbending yet is because you're a terrible teacher! None of this airbending stuff makes any sense to me.
I know you're frustrated, but these teachings will sink in over time. Then, one day, they'll just click.
At the start of her training, Tenzin instructed Korra to meditate in order to free her mind and connect with her spiritual self. But Korra didn't want to meditate. Why would she? She's the Avatar. She needed to fight. Where better than Republic City's pro-bending arena?
The rookie ferrets came from out of nowhere and have made it further than anyone expected this season.
Come on, ferrets!
Pro-bending had a swagger to it that Korra had never seen before. This looked way better than meditating with Tenzin all day. Timing was on her side, because the Fire Ferrets were short one bender. They recruited the Avatar and taught her how to fight like a true pro.
Wow! Nice adjustment! You're a natural at this.
Even though Korra could only bend water during the tournament, it didn't stop her from incorporating other bending styles.
Airbending is all about spiral movements. When you meet resistance, you must be able to switch direction at a moment's notice.
Hold the phone, stop the presses. She's still in the game, folks, and she's moving like an entirely different player. All of a sudden, the platypus bear strikes her only striking air.
How about that?
What an unbelievable effort here by Korra. She's dodging every element the wasps throw at her. The Avatar finally gains some ground, but with only 10 seconds remaining, it might be too little too late. It's the big kabaj! What a knockout!
But unbeknownst to Korra, her time as a pro bender was merely setting up her first real fight.
There is a madman running around our beloved city, threatening to tear it apart.
He can take people's bending away. For good.
Korra was terrified of Aang. But when his forces attacked the pro bending arena, she did not hesitate to spring into action. This wasn't a normal day of training. This was the real deal. With no air, water, or earth available, she relied on her firebending to take on Aang's lieutenant. Korra was making some progress with her air training, but she still couldn't airbend. As if that wasn't enough, she also couldn't contact any of the past avatars for guidance.
I'm the worst avatar ever.
Communicating with past avatars was one of the hardest hurdles for any avatar to clear. Korra's seen some flashes of Aang, but the message wasn't fully there yet.
I believe Aang's spirit must be trying to tell you something.
Even though Korra couldn't get help from Aang, she still had her friends. Meet the new Team Avatar.
You think this'll do?
They begin rounding up equalists across Republic City. But once they started interfering with Councilman Tarlok's task force, tensions began to rise.
You're a bloodbender?
Very observant.
With nowhere to go and no one to call for help, Korra had only one option. She took one deep breath and cleared her head. She was finally able to connect with Aang. He showed her a memory from his adulthood, the story of how he took down another bloodbending master, Yakone. Aang was able to overpower Yakone's bloodbending by entering the Avatar state and taking away his bending. Seems easy, right?
Aang, this whole time, you were trying to warn me about Tarlok.
Okay, let's jump ahead to the final showdown against Aang.
Aang has been lying to you. The spirits didn't give him the power to take people's bending away. He uses bloodbending to do it. Aang is a waterbender. His father was Yakone, and his brother is Councilman Tarlok.
Once Korra revealed Aang's secret, he used it on Korra the first chance he had.
None of this airbending stuff makes any sense to me.
I know you're frustrated, but these teachings will sink in over time. Then, one day,
No!
they'll just click. Did you see what happened?
Even though Aang was gone, the damage done to Korra couldn't be undone. Not even Master Katara's healing could bring back her bending.
Korra can still airbend, but her connection to the other elements has been severed.
It's going to be all right, Korra.
No, it's not. I'm not the Avatar anymore. Not now, Tenzin. I just want to be left alone.
But you called me here.
Aang.
You have finally connected with your spiritual self.
How?
When we hit our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change.
The Avatar State. A titanic power that is not to be used recklessly. Unless you're Korra.
No fair! You can't go into the Avatar State to win!
You did what? The Avatar State is not to be used as a booster rocket.
Korra was now a master of all 4 elements, and she can enter the Avatar State at will. But her discipline and carelessness still needed some work.
Clearly, you need more training to grasp the depths of your spiritual connections.
The Avatar is the bridge between the spirit world and the physical world. And with the spirits becoming unbalanced, she needed to learn how to face them. That is where Unalaq came in.
There are no evil spirits. There is light and dark in them all. But when they're unbalanced, the darkness takes over.
Her uncle showed Korra that with the proper training, a waterbending master can bend the spirits themselves. Spirit bending is an advanced form of healing with water. By healing the energy within the spirits, Unalaq can calm the spirit and return them to the spirit world. Again, it's a highly advanced technique, but Korra was eager to master it. Korra's combative bending fended off the stronger spirits, but the first time she tried to bend the spirit itself, it was disastrous. Korra washed up on an unfamiliar beach with no memory. The giant spirit she battled had infected her with dark energy.
We must purge it before it destroys her avatar spirit. Let the waters cleanse the darkness that plagues your spirit.
My name is Wan, and I will show you how I became the first Avatar.
Wan became the Avatar by fusing with Rava, the Spirit of Light. She granted him the power to bend all 4 elements. Together, they imprisoned Vaatu, the Spirit of Darkness.
This is your prison now. And I will close the portal so no human will ever be able to physically enter the spirit world and release you.
The only way to get Vaatu was to open a portal to the spirit world, which Korra had already done as part of Unalaq's training. But it turned out, Unalaq's plan all along was to release Vaatu. Unalaq had fused with Vaatu the same way Rava fused with Wan 10,000 years prior.
Now, 10,000 years of darkness begins.
There may still be a way for you to stop Vaatu. Connect to the cosmic energy of the universe. Don't bend the elements, but the energy within yourself.
You really think I can do this?
I have no doubt.
And in classic Avatar fashion, she became a
Blue Giant!
Korra's next exam, going toe-to-toe with the Spirit of Darkness in an epic clash of the Colossus. Using the same technique her uncle taught her, Korra's spirit bent Vaatu and Unalaq along with him. She had saved the world from slipping into 10,000 years of darkness.
Go in peace.
The battle between Korra and the Dark Avatar unleashed enough spiritual energy to cover the planet. The shifted spiritual energy affected dozens, if not hundreds, of non-benders around the world. One by one, non-benders were waking up with airbending abilities.
Ah! Wow, that still hurt a lot.
Team Avatar traveled the world to recruit and train new airbenders. Along the way, they traveled to the city of Zaofu, the home of the Metal Clan. That's where Korra met Suyin Beifong and her metal bending students. Under Suyin's training, Korra became the first metal bending avatar.
Try to focus on the fine pieces of earth within the metal.
I can't believe it. I'm metal bending.
She picked up metal bending pretty quickly, just as she did earth bending.
Woohoo! Metal bending champion.
Korra was also beginning to do some teaching herself. Suyin's daughter Opal was one of these new airbenders.
You want to keep your elbows in, torso straight, feet just skimming the ground.
Just a few years prior, Korra once thought airbending was impossible. Now she was instructing it.
You're a natural.
You really think so? Thanks.
But she wouldn't be teaching for very long. Unbeknownst to Korra, one of these new airbenders was plotting against her.
It's the dawning of a new age. The end of the White Lotus. And soon, the end of the Avatar.
We need to get Korra out of here immediately. Her life's in danger.
I'm not running.
Korra, you don't understand. These criminals are like nothing you've ever faced before.
A combustion bender, a lava bender, an armless water bender, and an airbender that can fly.
Guess he doesn't need a ride.
They weren't going to rest until the Avatar was destroyed forever. What's even scarier is they were very close to succeeding.
Once we administer this poison, your body will naturally react, forcing you into the Avatar state in an effort to keep you alive. When we dispatch you in the Avatar state, the cycle will end. Korra, the last Avatar. Now! Destroy the Avatar!
Korra taking on the Red Lotus was more than good versus evil. She was fighting for her life. And with that urgency, Korra hit all new levels of power. Using her raw strength, she broke out of the platinum chains and used her firebending as a jet engine to chase down Zahir. But it was only a matter of time before the poison caught up to her, and Zahir knew she didn't have long.
The Avatar cycle will be over momentarily.
Luckily for Korra, she had something that even Avatar Aang never had. An entire squad of airbenders at her back.
She'll be fine. She just needs time to heal. The poison took a great toll.
With the world getting more and more dangerous, we need the Avatar now more than ever. Who will protect us while she's in a wheelchair?
Korra went back to the Southern Water Tribe. Master Katara was going to help her get back into Avatar shape. Her recovery was supposed to take a few weeks, but she was gone for 3 years.
We've been at this for almost 6 months, and I can barely take a couple of steps without collapsing.
You're okay. Your body thinks it is still in danger, but you're safe here. Use your mind to overcome the pain.
Katara helped as much as she could, but Korra simply could not get herself back into Avatar shape. At the beginning of her journey, a firebending sparring match was a piece of cake for her. Now, she couldn't last 1 minute.
Dear Asami, the past 2 years have been the hardest of my life. Even though I can get around fine now, I still can't go into the Avatar state. Sometimes I worry I'll never fully recover.
But Aang once said hitting your lowest points led to the greatest change. Korra was never lower, and that's when the greatest change came.
I can't believe it. Tough?
Nice to see you again, Twinkle Toes.
The 86-year-old blind bandit felt Korra still had a little bit of poison lingering inside of her.
I'm not bending it out of you. You've got to do this on your own. Focus your energy. Find the metal. Let it move through your body. Release the fear. Well done, Korra.
The Avatar is back in business!
After reuniting with Jinora Ikki and Milo, she learned there was a new threat. Kuvira was taking over the entire Earth Kingdom. The world needed the Avatar back.
Avatar Korra. I'm the one who brought peace to the Earth Empire, not you. You're not relevant here anymore.
Fine. You want to fight the Avatar? Then let's finish this. Right here, right now.
Korra threw all of the earth, wind, and fire at Kuvira, but wouldn't be enough. She was too strong.
You have to go into the Avatar state. Do it!
I knew you were weak.
Even with no poison and the power of the Avatar state, she couldn't beat Kuvira. Something was still missing. She still wasn't 100% Avatar Korra just yet. Korra had one more idea. Her last and probably her most desperate resort.
I figured you would show up sooner or later. Let me lead you into the spirit world. We may have been enemies once, but for now, our interests align. Let it play out.
I can't!
You can. Accept what happened to you. Don't fear what might have been.
I have no control!
Don't be afraid. Hold on.
I made it. And you led me here. I feel whole again. I feel good.
Do you think you're finally able to forget about what Zahir did to you?
No. But I am finally able to accept what happened, and I think that's gonna make me stronger.
The Avatar was back, for real this time. Now began the real final battle. The showdown at Republic City. It was time for Korra versus Kuvira round 2, and the Avatar would not hold back this time. It was a full court press. Surrounded by metal, Kuvira threw all she could at Korra. This time, Korra fought metal with metal. But of course, Korra never hesitates to use fire and once again displayed her raw strength. There were no excuses this time. Defeating Kuvira was now or never. But Kuvira had one more trick up her sleeve. Bending the power of the spirit cannon, Korra created a new portal in the heart of Republic City. All Korra ever wanted to be was a full-fledged Avatar. She used to think it meant bending all 4 elements. but she realized it meant saving the world and all who inhabit it, even if some of those people are your enemies.
I know I was in a pretty dark place after I was poisoned, but I finally understand why I had to go through all that. I needed to understand what true suffering was, so I could become more compassionate to others, even to people like Kuvira.
You don't know how happy I am to hear you so full of hope again.
It's been a bit of a bumpy ride, huh?
I've come to realize life is one big bumpy ride.
That wraps up Avatar Korra's Bending Evolution. Don't forget to subscribe and keep watching for all things Avatar.